Hi, everyone. For this session, we're going to be taking a look in the rule book. My name is Lisa Turbitt, and I'm going to be doing the presentation today, and I look forward to working with you for the next 45 minutes. Our focus today is going to be interference and obstruction, and a few additional rules as well. We're going to be focusing on the official rules of baseball. We're going to start with obstruction type 1. This is where there is a play being made on the runner that's been obstructed. When obstruction occurs, the umpire shall call and signal obstruction and then call time. The obstructed runner is awarded at least one base beyond the last legally occupied base, and any preceding runners that are forced to advance by the base awards will advance without liability to be put out. So in this type of obstruction, there is a play being made on the runner who got obstructed, so we call time right away and issue them that base award. Let's take a look at an example. You can see the umpires pointing, calling and signaling that's obstruction. The fielder who was not in the act of fielding the ball got in the way of the runner. The umpires called time because they're making a play on him and sent the runner home. Even though initially the runner was going back to third, he's not getting an award to go back to third. He gets one additional base, so he gets the award of home. Time is called, and they indicate that that runner is being awarded home plate. So just a reminder for our mechanics and how we will call this play. You're going to call and signal the obstruction. You're going to call time, and then you're going to place the runners. And in this case, they would award the runner home. So that's obstruction type 1. That's where there's a play being made on the obstructed runner. Obstruction type 2, there's no play being made on the runner who's been obstructed. So the obstruction occurs, but the ball is somewhere else, or the play is being made on another runner. When this occurs, the umpire will call and signal obstruction. The umpire will wait. We don't call time right away. Wait for the play to finish, and then call time and award penalties, if any are required, to nullify the obstruction. When an obstructed runner advances beyond the base that the umpire thought that they were going to go to, then they're going at their own risk. So if in the umpire's mind, the batter runner or the runner was going to get to second and the runner tried to go to third and got out, then they would be called out. The obstruction that occurred wouldn't save them or protect them from taking more than the umpire thought that they would get. Let's take a look at an example. A runner was obstructed by the shortstop. There's a very close play at home, and the plate umpire is pointing towards where the obstruction took place, which was at shortstop. And here's the replay. A runner from second is obstructed. The umpire points, calls and signals the obstruction, but waits. And then once a play is being made on that runner at home, the umpires then call time. Plate umpire calls time, points back to the shortstop area where our third base umpire had indicated that obstruction had occurred, and they awarded that runner home. So when obstruction type 2 takes place, there's no play initially being made on the runner. We call and signal the obstruction, but we wait. And then once a play is being made on the runner or the play finishes, we can call time and place runners only if necessary. If the runner ended up where they should have been, then there's no additional base award required. That's obstruction type 2 with no play. We're now going to talk about obstruction on the batter runner before first base. So in the other examples that we talked about, we were talking about runners that were already on the bases. So this obstruction is specific to the batter runner who gets obstructed before they reach first base. And this could happen in 3 different situations. First, on a ground ball in the infield. The second situation is an infield fly ball or a line drive, or the batter runner has hit the ball to the outfield. So it's either a fly ball or a base hit, or it's in the outfield. So any hit to the outfield. So these 3 situations have a different application. So obstruction on a ground ball, we do one thing as the umpire. There's one part of the rule. The second part of the rule applies when there's obstruction on the infield with a fly ball or a line drive. And then our third situation, obstruction on any hit to the outfield. So let's take a look. If our batter runner is obstructed on a ground ball to the infield, we call time. We call and signal obstruction, we call time, and the batter runner is awarded first base. If there happens to be an overthrow and the ball goes out of play, not an overthrow that remains in play, we would give the batter runner the award on the overthrow. And any preceding runners that are forced to advance because of these base awards would also advance. So on a ground ball, we don't let the fielders continue to make the play or make outs. Once it's a ground ball in the infield, we call and signal the obstruction, we call time, and place the batter runner at first. The second situation has a difference. If the ball is caught or not caught. So on obstruction in the infield, on a pop-up or a line drive, if the ball is not caught, we do the same thing that we do in a ground ball. We call and signal obstruction, we call time, we put the batter runner at first, and any other runners who are forced because of that base award will get those bases. But if the ball is caught, the batter is out and the ball remains live. There is no award for obstruction on a pop-up or a line drive in the infield if the ball is caught. So that's a little bit of a difference from the ground ball to the infielder. If the batter runner is obstructed on any hit to the outfield, it's a similar situation if the ball is not caught or if the ball is caught. If the ball is not caught, the umpire is going to call and signal obstruction. The ball remains live. They're going to wait. And the batter runner should get at least one base, and any preceding runners will be forced to advance. Time is only called if the batter runner didn't get the base that they should have reached without the obstruction, or once they make a play on them. If the batter runner goes past the base that the umpire thinks that they would have reached, the out stands. And if the ball is caught, the batter is out and the ball remains live. So in the situations, anytime it's a pop-up and the batter runner is obstructed before first base, whether that's in the infield or the outfield, and it gets caught, the batter is out and the obstruction doesn't give them that base. So 3 different situations, 3 slightly different applications of the rule. Let's take a look. In this situation, we have a ground ball in the infield. So once our batter runner is obstructed, our plate umpire points and they call time and put the batter runner at first base. Runners will only advance if forced by the batter runner getting first base. So ground ball in the infield, we're calling and signal obstruction right away, placing the batter runner at first. Here's a second example. Again, a ground ball in the infield. The ball is overthrown but does not go out of play. So now we have the obstruction. The fielder's not in the act of fielding the ball. The ball remains in play. The first base umpire points to the obstruction. Time would now be called. We'd put the batter runner at first, and the runner that started at first would be forced and advance to second. So ground ball in the infield, we call and signal obstruction, we call time, we place our batter runner at first base, and our other runners only advance if forced. So obstruction on a ground ball in the infield, call and signal obstruction, we're calling time, place batter runner at first, other runners advance only if forced. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about the foul tip. And I'm going to talk about this rule because there's a little bit of a new interpretation about the foul tip. So the foul tip is when a batted ball goes sharply and directly back to the catcher. And in the past, the rule was that the ball must first touch the catcher's hand or glove and then get caught. The foul tip would remain live, base runners can advance, and runners are not required to tag up. And on 2 strikes, if this were to occur, the batter would be out. The different part to this rule now is that it doesn't initially need to go back to the catcher's hand or glove. It could hit the catcher's chest protector, mask, and then get legally caught in their hand or glove. So a little bit of a difference. Let's take a look at some examples now. So this foul tip was legally caught. It initially hit the catcher's glove, popped up, and then he secured it. So foul tip, the batter is out, it's on strike 3, it hits his glove, pops up, and is legally caught. And it is a foul tip. There was already 2 strikes, so our batter is now out. This example, you're going to see the ball hit the catcher first and then get legally caught. So it first hits the catcher in the chest protector and then is secured in the catcher's hand or glove. It is now a legally caught ball, a foul tip, and in this case, it was on strike 3, so our batter was out. We're going to signal a foul tip. We're going to signal the strike, and the ball remains live. So that's the foul tip. The new little part is that you no longer have to have the ball first hit the catcher's hand or glove. It can hit the catcher's chest protector, mask, and then go into the glove, as long as it goes sharply and directly back first. The next rule I'm going to talk about is when a runner passes another runner. So if a runner passes another runner, that runner is out. Now, this rule only applies if the runner that they've passed is still in play. So if that runner's been out and they're trying to exit the field, then this rule wouldn't apply. But anytime the runners are both still making a play and trying to run the bases, If one of them passes the other, they're out. There's no need to appeal. There's no need to tag anybody. The umpire will point and indicate that that is passing, and the runner is out. Play still goes on. It's a live ball, but the umpire would point and indicate that that runner is out, and the play stays live. Let's take a look at an example. So we started with a runner at first, and we have a very deep fly ball that our center fielder manages to keep in the ballpark. But our runner who was at first didn't go halfway. He actually went back to first to tag up. And we're going to see our batter runner passes him. So the runner from first is still on first. He's still there waiting. I think he thought he was going to tag up on a fly ball. Our batter runner passes him. And now this ball stays live and in play. That batter runner is out. And our one who did advance to second would be safe at second base. The ball remains live in this situation. So we have a no catch. There's our batter runner. Run right past R1. Right past. So our umpires would point and indicate that the batter runner is out. And this runner makes it safely to second. If they'd thrown the ball to second or tagged this runner, he could have been put out. He was still in jeopardy because the ball remains live. The umpire will call and signal that's passing. The runner who did the passing is called out. In this example that I showed you, it was the batter runner, but any runner that does the passing is called out, and the ball remains live. So that is the rule about a runner passing a preceding runner. Our next rule is looking at the bona fide slide rule. And there are some requirements for the runner in order for it to be a legitimate or bona fide slide. They have to begin the slide before the base, reach the base with their hand or foot, remain on the base after the slide, and not change their pathway to initiate contact with the fielder. So if they do all of those things, then this would be a bona fide or a legal slide. If the runner does not do one of those things or a couple of those things, a runner has committed interference. And we would also call out the batter runner. Now, in order to call out the batter runner, the fielder must be in the act of trying to make a double play. Because the reason that a runner may try to commit sort of an illegal slide is hoping that the fielder won't get out the batter runner and turning a double play. So if the fielder is not turning a double play, there would be no need to call the interference. But if they are, the runner is out for interference and the batter runner is out as well. If a runner had already been put out and they're attempting to make a double play on a different runner, then we would call that runner out. It doesn't have to be the batter runner. And we would want to make sure that as an umpire, we're in a good position, because if the fielder moves towards the runner, hoping to draw the interference call, we would not enforce the interference. So it's really important that the umpire is in the right position so that they can see and watch the pathway of where the runner is, and making sure that the interference is a result of the runner, not the fielder. Let's take a look at an example. So in this case, we had a bases loaded situation, and our runner from first slid into second base. and reached out and initiated contact with our fielder who is trying to turn a double play. And in this situation, we had runners scoring, but the umpires are signaling that R1 is out, and because of the illegal slide, the batter runner is going to be called out, and those other runners would return. Now, if there was already one out, the runs wouldn't count, but if there was nobody out, R1, R3, and R2 would return. So if there was 0 out instead of 1, all the other runners would return to the base that they were at the time of the pitch. So bases loaded, 1 out situation, and because of the illegal slide, that runner was called out, but so was the batter runner, and it ended the game. When you see a situation where the runner has not engaged in a bona fide slide, you're going to call and signal the interference. You're going to call time. The runner is called out, and call the batter runner out, or whoever they're making the double play on, and you're going to return any runners if necessary. If there are other runners, in the example we saw, bases were loaded, so those other runners needed to return. So there is taking a look at the bona fide slide rule. This rule that we're going to talk about is a situation that many people think is a balk, but it's not a balk. In Rule 504, it talks about that this is a situation where we start over or start from scratch. So this is a situation where the batter does something, accident or on purpose, to step out, and the pitcher mistakenly thinks that he needs to stop. Because of what the batter did, we can't call or enforce a balk on the pitcher. So in this situation, you can see the batter is stepping out, and even though the umpire did not grant time, the pitcher stopped because of that. So they are not going to penalize the pitcher and call a balk, because there are, in this situation, if there's runners on base. If there's no runners on base, you call time and you start over. So this is where, as an umpire, if you're not granting time, but the batter steps out, if the pitcher stops, you're going to call time and get them to start over, because you don't want to be calling a balk on the pitcher. Otherwise, the batter is going to step out all the time, hoping to draw a walk from the pitcher and advance his runners. So we want to make sure that we're protecting the pitcher and not calling that, and making sure that our batter is staying in the box and not giving them time if they're requesting it too late. Let's take a look. So our batter asks for time. But it wasn't granted. He stepped out and the pitcher stopped. Our umpire called time and returned the runners back to the bases that they were at. So it would be unfair. It would be unfair to call a balk on this pitcher because of the batter's actions stepping out. So this is where, as an umpire, game management, you really need to take control and make sure that you're calling that clearly and getting everybody to get back to their base. Everybody's got time. It's not a balk. You're going to get everybody to start over from scratch, and there's no penalty. So you're really going to need to use your voice and your game management to make sure. And you're also going to need to set the tone so that you don't have the batter trying to step out throughout the game, stepping in, stepping out. Only stepping out when you've granted them their request for time. So that is the rule about starting over from scratch. It's not a balk when the pitcher stops their delivery as a result of the action of the batter. We're going to take a look at some illegal actions by the pitcher in our next couple of rules. In this situation, our pitcher is going to their mouth while they are on the circle or in the rubber. And when this occurs the first time, the umpire will issue a warning and say that is a warning. The second time the umpire sees the pitcher do this, they're going to call ball and issue a ball to the count for the batter. The pitcher is not allowed to go to their mouth within the circle or while on the rubber. They need to do that off. Otherwise, there'll be a warning from the umpire, and the second time the umpire will call a ball. Let's take a look. So in that situation, the umpire pointed and then signaled that he had added a ball to the count. So this pitcher had already been given a warning. And because it was the second infraction, the plate umpire added a ball to the count. So when the pitcher goes to their mouth on the rubber, the first time you'll issue a warning, and the second time you will add a ball to the count. So that's when the pitcher goes to their mouth on the rubber or mound. Second rule we're going to talk about right now in regards to the pitcher is their glove. So a reminder that the pitcher's glove cannot be white, gray, or distracting. So it can't have a fluorescent or mirrored patch, long strings. The ruling is you remove the glove from the game. The pitcher is not allowed to continue with it. And just a reminder that no fielder at any position may have a glove, and it indicates a number for the color, but that no player should be playing with a white glove or a glove lighter than Pantone 14. So let's take a look at an example of the pitcher using a glove that is illegal. So the umpire is discussing with the manager. We have the crew chief. The pitcher is using a gray, very light colored glove. And the ruling is the umpire will ask him to remove it from the game. So he needs to take that glove off and get a new glove. So for this particular illegal action, the glove is just removed. If the pitcher, in that case, we saw the pitcher throw some pitches, though that's fine. But moving forward, once it is noted, that glove is removed from the game and the pitcher must pitch with another glove. So again, using your game management skills, because you're going to have to get the pitcher to change the glove. If you notice that earlier on, it's better to get it changed right away than waiting partway through the game. So that is illegal actions by the pitcher, some ruling about their glove. Not only can the glove not be white-gray, it cannot be distracting. So in this example, the pitcher's glove has quite long laces on it, and the laces are flapping as the pitcher is throwing the ball. And same thing, the glove can be removed from the game, or the laces or the strings can be cut. Let's take a look at the example. So this situation can be initiated by the umpire or by the manager. So we're having a crew consult. They're going to bring out the scissors and cut the laces, or the pitcher could remove the glove and use a different glove. It gets fixed, and we carry on with the game. So again, this would require some game management. This would be great if you noticed it before it occurred. You could take care of it at that time before any plays. Our next aspect about the pitcher with illegal actions is in regard to the pitcher's sleeves. So players may have different length sleeves, but as a player, your right sleeve and your left sleeve need to be approximately the same length. The sleeves cannot be ragged, frayed, have cuts, ripped. You need to change it or remove them. Let's take a look. Consult between the two umpires. They have the crew together, and the pitcher is going to remove or change that shirt. It's been slit up the side. And in this case, it's been removed, and we're back to playing. So in this case, if the pitcher is wearing a shirt that is ripped or torn or frayed or distracting, the pitcher needs to remove it or put on a different shirt. Change or remove the shirt. The next rule we're going to be talking about, illegal actions by the pitcher, is having anything attached to their hand, finger, or wrist. So the pitcher can't have band-aids or tape or wristbands or bracelets or any of that on their hand or wrist or finger. If they have it, they need to change it or remove it. So they can't have a band-aid, they can't have a wristband, so it needs to be removed. Remove it. And again, game management, it's better if you notice this earlier on and you can get it taken care of at the beginning of the game instead of waiting a couple innings in. So preventative umpiring will help you with game management. In this situation, we're not going to be having a remove or a change. It's going to result in a much more severe penalty. This is when the pitcher is engaged in illegal action by applying foreign substance to their body or on their person and then applying it to the ball. So the pitcher isn't allowed to have any of this with him in his pocket, on his shirt, on his hat, on his arm, and he is not allowed to apply it of any of it to the ball. And the ruling in this situation, the penalty is we're not going to fix it. He's going to be ejected. So let's take a look at this example here. Our umpire is going to go out and consult with the crew chief and the crew. And we've seen this in a number of situations where the umpires are getting together, which is great. So they get together, they go to the mound, they check his arm, and it has pine tar, and he is ejected. For this illegal action, our pitcher is getting ejected for having foreign substance on his person, and the same penalty would apply if he was applying the foreign substance on the ball. So illegal actions by the pitcher. The next little bit, I'm going to talk about some different interference situations. So in this first part, we're going to be talking about the batter interference. In this example, the batter is going to hit the ball twice. So they've batted the ball, it's fair, and their bat is going to contact the ball a second time. So when this happens and the batter is still in the batter's box, we would call it a foul ball. But if this is in fair territory and the batter's bat contacts the bat a second time, there's a penalty. Our batter, if their bat touches it, if they toss the bat and it hits it, the batter tosses the bat on the ground and it keeps rolling and touches the ball. In any of these situations, we're going to call and signal interference. We're going to call time. Our batter runner is going to be called out, and all runners are going to return. And in this example, if the batter dropped the bat and the bat was still and the ball rolled against it, that would be an exception to this rule. It wouldn't be interference and the ball would remain live, but that's just the one exception. If you dropped the bat and it was still and then the ball bounced and rolled and hit it, we wouldn't penalize the batter for that. The batter is in control of their bat and they need to put it or toss it in a place where it is not going to contact the ball. A great example in the picture there, you can see the umpire exiting the catcher and getting right on the line, not only to see the fair foul ball, but to get out and to see that call and see the ball contacting the bat. Let's take a look at an example. You can see the umpire signaling right away that that's interference. The umpires are calling time. And the base umpire was actually motioning for the runner to return. We're going to see the replay. Our batter is still holding the bat and uses it to contact the ball. Now, in this case, it looks intentional. But whether it's intentional or an accident, the batter would still be out. Let's look at a second example. Our umpire is signaling right away. Interference, they're calling time, signaling for the runner to return. In this case, again, it looks like the batter did it intentionally, but whether it's intentional or an accident, the batter would still be out. The intent doesn't matter in this situation. In fair territory, if their bat contacts the ball twice, the batter is out. Here's our third example. In this case, you can see that the batter is starting to drop the bat, but because the bat is still moving, even though the batter is not touching it, it's interference. The batter is in control of their bat, and when the bat was rolling, the bat contacted the ball twice, our batter is out. The exception that I talked about at the beginning, if that bat had been still and then the ball rolled against it, it wouldn't have been interference, but that's not the case. In this case, our batter is out. When the batter hits the ball a second time with their bat in fair territory, we call and signal interference, we call time, we call our batter runner out, and the runners return. So that's when our batter hits a fair batted ball with their bat. In this interference, we're going to talk about the whole bat. So in this case, the whole bat is getting thrown, maybe not on purpose. Again, intent doesn't matter. Maybe it's an accident, but the whole bat goes into the fielder trying to make a play. Now, if the fielder is in foul trying to catch a pop-up or any ball in fair territory, this rule still applies. The bat is whole, and the bat is interfering with the fielder. The batter is going to be out for interference. The batter is in control of their bat. So if they let it go, and even if it's an accident, they're still responsible. They will be out on the interference. So it could be a foul ball as well. Anytime this whole bat interferes with a fielder making a play. The umpire is going to call and signal interference. They're going to call time. Our batter runner is going to be called out, and our runners return. One little exception is if the batter lets go of their bat and it goes into the field of play, but it's not near the fielder making the play, so the ball is in the outfield and the batter let go of the bat and it's near the pitcher, we wouldn't then call the batter out for interference. The whole bat has to go towards the fielder who is making the play for this interference rule to apply. So whole bat interferes with the fielder making the play. We're calling them out and returning the runners. If we decide that it's not interference because the ball is not being fielded by the fielder who got hit with the bat, the ball remains live. The whole bat interferes. We call and signal interference. We call time. We call the batter runner out, and we return the runners. So that's the whole bat being thrown and interfering. In this example, I'm going to talk about the bat and how it's not interference. In this example, it's when the bat breaks. So in the example we just talked about before this, the bat remained whole and the batter let go of it and it went into play. In this case, the bat has broken. And when the bat breaks, it's not interference because the batter can't control the broken piece. They didn't know their bat was going to break. We don't penalize the batter for this. Now, in this example, you can see in the picture, the ball was hit to the shortstop, and that's where the broken piece of bat went, and it actually hit the fielder, and he fell down as a result of it, and he was unable to make the play. And although when we look at this, that clearly interfered with him making the play, it is not interference in our rule book. This would be live and in play. Our batter would not be out as a result of interference because it is the broken piece of bat, even though the broken piece of bat resulted in this shortstop being unable to make the play. As the umpire, you would signal that's nothing, and the ball must remain live. And it is unfortunate, and hopefully nobody gets hurt, but although the ball interfered with the fielder, it is not interference according to our rule book. There is no penalty. We're not calling anybody out. We're not calling time. The ball is staying live. Now, the one little exception to this is when the bat breaks, if the batter were to throw the handle part into play and interfere with someone, we would then call them out for that. The batter is in control for the handle part because that's what's in their hands. So if it had been the handle instead, we would have called the batter out. But if it is the piece that's broken off and the batter just drops the handle, it's not interference. So you're going to have some game management and some explaining to the coaches and managers, but it would be not interference. Let's take a look. So we had a piece that went by the pitcher. Now in this case, it was a foul ball, but because the bat is breaking, here's the example. I showed you the picture. This fielder was unable to make the play. It's live and in play, no interference. In this case, the piece of the bat actually hit the pitcher, but he was still able to make the play. And same in this situation as well. So the ball remains live. If the fielder can make the out stands. If they're unable to make the out, the ball is live and in play. And there you can see the handle, the batter dropped it right near home plate. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We don't want anyone to get hurt. But if it does, that is the ruling. For interference with the broken bat, we call and signal that's nothing, and the ball remains live because it is not interference when the bat breaks. We're now going to talk about some other situations of interference. This is our umpire interference. And there are a couple of different ways that umpires can interfere, and there are a couple of different ways or situations where it is not interference according to the rule book. So we're going to talk about those for the next couple minutes. In this situation, umpire interference on a batted ball. So this occurs when it's a fair batted ball. So if it's foul, we would just call it a foul ball. But on a fair ball and it touches the umpire before it passes a fielder other than a pitcher or is touched by a fielder. So this is most likely for the umpire who is in the middle of the infield, the second base umpire. When this happens, we're going to call and signal umpire interference. We're going to call time. We're going to place our batter runner at first, and the other runners return unless they're forced by the batter runner being placed at first. Let's take a look at some examples. So in this situation, we had a runner at first. Our umpire called time. They awarded the batter runner to first. And they only advance the runners if they're forced by the batter runner going to first. So here it is again. Here's a second example. Runners are at first and third. The umpire working in the middle gets hit with a batted ball. We're going to call time. We're going to award our batter runner first base. R1 advances to second because they're forced by the batter runner, but the runner that was at third needs to return back to third. Initially on this play, the runner from third had scored, but as a result of the umpire interference, that runner would go back to third base. So on umpire interference, we call time, we award the batter runner first. Any runners forced to advance by the batter runner force, and any runners who are not forced return. So we're going to talk about a second type of umpire interference, and this is on a steal or a pickoff or possibly a throwback to the pitcher. So anytime the plate umpire gets in the way or interferes with our catcher and prevents them from throwing to try to retire a runner on the steal or a pickoff, but it could also be when he throws back or she throws back to the pitcher. We signal umpire interference, we call time, and we have the runners return. Now, if we interfere with the catcher and we call and signal, we wait, because if the runner is retired by the catcher, we disregard the umpire interference. We give that catcher a chance, even though we've interfered with them, to throw the runner out. And if they do, we disregard it. But if the runner is safe, we return the runner. Let's take a look at some examples. Our plate umpire is pointing to their chest to indicate that that was umpire interference, and they are ensuring that the runner goes back. The catcher has made contact with the umpire. The catcher did not throw out the runner at third, so the plate umpire called time, indicated umpire interference, and returned the runner. And you can see that once the runner was safe, then the umpire calls time. They wait. Perhaps the catcher is going to throw out the runner. So that is one of the situations we call and signal the umpire interference, wait, and then call time. It is not umpire interference on a thrown ball. So anytime a ball is being thrown, it is not umpire interference. So the ball remains live and in play. So it is possible as an umpire, you're actually interfering with the play. It's a little bit like the situation with the broken bat, and they are unable to make an out. But according to the rule book, according to our official baseball rules, it would not be interference, and the ball will remain live. You may have some game management with the manager or the coaches coming out, and this is another reason why it's super important to have proper positioning. In this case, the umpires do, but even if you are in the proper position, it's possible that you could get hit with the ball, and you're going to have to explain that to the manager. So you really want to make sure you're proper positioning. And this is another reason why, as an umpire, you always want to have your eyes on the ball and try to prevent that if possible. But sometimes it's just not, because you can't control where the fielder is going to throw the ball. So let's take a look at some examples. So this is on a pickup play. The ball remains live and in play. Shortstop's feeling badly now that they've hit the umpire, but the ball is alive and in play. And thankfully, our umpire wasn't hurt. So again, in this situation, the ball is live and in play. Runner went home. This runner advanced to the next base. The ball is live and in play. And we also had obstruction thereafter. So anytime a thrown ball contacts an umpire, the ball is live and in play. It is not an example of umpire interference. We're going to take a look at a couple of situations where the ball does hit our umpire, a batted ball, and it is not interference as well. So it's not umpire interference if the ball has touched or passed the fielder and then hits the umpire. So if this happens and the ball is foul, it's just foul. So if the ball went past the first baseman and it was in foul territory and hit our umpire, it's foul. But any situation where the ball is fair, if it's already passed or been played by a fielder or is deflected, the ball remains live. So we had some situations earlier where the batted ball hit our umpire and we were calling time. In these examples we're going to take a look at, it is not umpire interference and the ball remains live. Maybe the batter is going to be safe, maybe they're going to make outs, but it's live and in play as if it has not touched the umpire. And this may involve some signals, may involve some game management discussion after. Let's take a look at some examples. So in this case, it was foul. It passed the first baseman. No umpire interference, but it was foul anyway. Same with this case. So it hit our umpire. The ball is foul. In this example, the ball is fair, or this one is foul. So in our first few examples, the ball is foul. So no umpire interference anyway, and our umpires were positioned on the foul side behind the fielder, and in all of those examples, the ball is foul, no umpire interference. Our next example. In this case, the ball hit the umpire in fair. Well, the ball crossed the base in fair and then hit the umpire. So the ball was fair, and the umpire needed to signal that it was fair because the ball is live and in play. So in this case, our umpire was positioned in foul, but the ball bounced over the bag and then hit the umpire. So our umpire is signaling that the ball is fair because the runner is going to continue to run and the defense is going to continue to try and make an out. Here's another example. In this case, the ball went past the first baseman, hit the umpire. The umpire made sure to signal it fair. The runner tried to maybe think about taking an extra base, but did not. But the ball is live and in play. Our umpire is in foul. The ball was fair, but then it got by the first baseman and hit our first base umpire. All right, this next example, again, the ball's live and in play, but the defense is going to have an opportunity to take advantage of that situation and make some outs. So let's take a look. So in this situation, the umpire is in the middle. It deflects off the pitcher, hits the umpire, and then the defense is able to turn a double play. The ball remained live because the pitcher deflected it, and then it hit the umpire. And then as a result, the defense, who was quite alert, were able to turn a double play. In this example, the ball went past the first baseman, hit the umpire, so the ball is live and in play, but our runners aren't aware, and as a result, the defense turns a triple play. So just like the example we just looked at previously, where the defense was alert and turned a double play, in this case, and I know the video is not the best, but it goes to the first baseman, it hits our umpire, they make the out at first, but the runner who was off first was leading off between second and third, and he gets tagged out, and so does our third runner. So a triple play, the ball was live and in play, and the defense stayed alert and turned a triple play. So anytime we have the ball contact the umpire after it has passed a fielder, been deflected, or the fielder's had an opportunity to play it, it is live and in play. I want to thank you for spending this time with me and taking a look into the rule book. In only this short time, we didn't have time to go through all of the rules, but we did get a really great chance to look at some rules about obstruction, some rules about interference, and some other kind of unique and special rules as well. I want to thank you for spending this time with me, and good luck with the rest of your training sessions. Thank you.